Welcome back. What is the question?
Yeah, my question is, for the fact that I've been seeking, even when Ishapuri was in this physical world, I participate in online activity with him, that's through the YouTube channel. And during the last birthday, they even celebrated in this physical world, was one of the people that sing a song for him during that period. And for the fact that distance is a challenge for me. So what suggestion do you have for me in me seeking the path back to God?
So, what do you do in a situation like that? So let's say if someone was waiting and someone asked for initiation, Mr. Puri for initiation, but he could not meet him in person, they will have to be initiated by the perfect living master of the time. Perfect living master, I mean someone like Mr. Puri in the sense of power, who has the power of Namdan. You may run to 10 masters, but they may give you initiation. This is just generally speaking. I'm not speaking about anyone in particular, okay? Well, let's say you get initiation, but they may not have a power of initiation. They may convince you, or you may be convinced that this master or that master may have a power of initiation, a person or people claiming to be the masters. But that doesn't have to be the case. And some of the satsangs, I said, actually, to meet a real perfect living master and have a namdan, it is very rare. And how rare it is, if I really say how rare that is, that will cause the ripples through the whole community. How rare that is. So, my understanding is that there is always PLM. And also my understanding is there is always next life. For someone who, can you do it without the initiation and without the perfect living master? Many people is trying to go that route. They will say, well, you don't need PLM really, you know. I researched this a lot, outside and inside. And unfortunately, I cannot confirm that. Unfortunately, to those who were never initiated by a perfect living master. Did Mr. Puri make the arrangements for this to continue? Yes, he did. But very few people will even recognize that. So I'm very familiar with many people from that group. I never met the tailor who he had that interview, who originally, I think, Mr. Garcia is supposed to have. And that's, but anyway, that's a different story. So Master will explain a lot of things about that to me. Because you know exactly what I'm talking about this. Someone in the satsang, they may, why is Cezary even talking about this? They may have no connection, but you will understand exactly what I'm trying to say. So I was very interested in, because I spoke to them, to quite a few of them privately at the time, and they've been asking me about Mr. Puri and all this, and what is this? And also Mr. Puri told me at one time, told us that they actually even asked Mr. Puri to join the group, MSIA. And because he met all of them, John Morton and others, there was the dinner. And there's a lot more to the story. There's some very powerful people. I don't want to bring that up. Billionaires, you know. So I spoke to Master about this because everyone they were so assured of the teaching. And some time ago, I seen the picture of Jesus Garcia of the book and this other person, Mr. A. And I see the picture, these two books, and it's almost like what the group trying to do. They said, like Mr. Puri was sharing that with me. They said, what they told me that they losing members. They were like, and Mr. Puri was gaining so many people following him, so they was trying to have him to kind of become a part of that. And Mr. Puri said no. They actually offered him 5 million followers, right? Or Huffington Post, I think they had 5 million followers. I mean, huge exposure to a lot of different people. So let's take a scenario of someone who is in that group, and he is a minister, ordained minister, go through the program and so on and so on. He's ordained minister for that group, and he's doing his mission. And he's initiated into those initiations they have, with the exception that the words they use in the two regions are kind of mixed up and opposite. So they got that wrong when you compare that to Sucha Yoga. So someone make a mistake down the road and they never change that. So the question is, okay, why Cezary can even speak about this? Because I've been holding back for about a year on this, and please understand that I can only speak about things which are connected to someone. In other words, if someone come over to me and ask me the question, I can answer this question or not answer this question. But I cannot just going around and trying to convince people to this and that. And in this aspect, there's a picture on the Santmat page on the website. And there's a picture where Master is sitting on my right, Mr. Puri, and I am sitting on his left, and the kind of maroon shirt I have. There's a picture. And this picture was taken in December 30, 2019, I believe. That's what it says. So this picture was taken in Rani's restaurant. Rani's restaurant is located in the Las Vegas area. And this is like a store, Indian store, and they make food, Indian food, and Master really liked that place, and a few other people. We've been there quite a few times. I gotta be careful how much I say, what I please understand. So we're sitting in the Rani restaurant, Master on my right and some other people there, and Jesus Garcia walks into the door. And he's supposed to be there. He was in Europe, flying back to US. I forgot it was in Spain somewhere. He was in Europe and flying back to US, and he's supposed to be there for two or some other days, but I guess he couldn't wait. So we're sitting and he's walking through the door. And Jesus Garcia, who is ordained minister for MSIA. I know him personally. I met him many times, and we had some discussions about this and that. So he was sitting right across, and he brought the book, and this is the book. Master, had the foreword into that book, so he would bring this book and give it to Mr. Puri, and I'm sitting next to Mr. Puri, and I said, look at Mr. Puri, he's looking at me, and I'm looking at Mr. Puri, and I said, okay, well, can I see the book? So I took the book from Mr. Puri and started looking through the book and so forth. So the point I'm trying to make is, though many people around the master, some got very close. In other words, they may even went to master home, private home. They were invited. They will have a dinner. In the case of Jesus Garcia, he later, he will pop in and out when we were with the master at the time. And at the end, I think he had he went for the dinner with Mr. Puri, I think, to one of these resort hotels, right? He was driving black Mercedes. This is Mercedes, we supposed to belong to John Rogers, and he got that car, and so he was showing the master the car and the place he spent with John Rogers. This is the place where when you go to Chicago from the airport, it's like on the right, on the left. It's a huge Mandala Bay, I believe it's called, right? So there's master was talking to us. This had the dinner way up there in that restaurant when he hung up with John Rogers. And so many people got very close to Mr. Puri. And I met them personally, many of them. I mean, it's hard to believe I met so many people. I mean, Cezary, when did you do that? How is that even possible? How much time did you spend with the master, really? And they never got initiated by Mr. Puri. That is my point. So they never got initiated. So there were people who were, had a lot of opportunities, and now I'm speaking generally, to ask Mr. Puri for initiation, and they never did. And there's another group of people who really wanted to be initiated by Mr. Puri, and they never had the opportunity to even meet him in person. For one reason or another, you will be the reason you just explained. There are many other people who will make arrangement to see Mr. Puri, and everything will be canceled next day. They will fly to different country just to see Mr. Puri, and they will get canceled. There's many people, so this is very sad story in the sense that the question is, and this, I will make the question and I will make the answer. The question is, let's say I'm with the group like MSIA or Ekankar. I speak about that because I myself was over 10 years in Ekankar. So I know the whole story. I know the story of David Lane and way beyond what he even knows in that sense. Paul Twitchell, I know all of it, including the story of John Rogers and everything like that. I mean, I will not be speaking about unless I have permission of my master, but I know all of this because I was there myself. So the question is, let's say someone who was initiated in Ekankar, like I was. I had a few initiations in Ekankar. At one point, I was even a speaker, in the college for the organizing stuff and for Polish people in Chicago, so to speak. So let's say someone got initiation, which is also 5 initiation in Ekankar. It goes up to 14, I think, if you're like super duper chilla. But high initiate will be the one who has a 15 initiation in Ekankar. So you can draw very similarity with, actually, John Roger was a part of Ekankara at the time. So also 5 initiations. So let's say I was initiated in Ekankara, but the similarities are very close between Ekankara and Messiah, with exception that John Roger, he changed a few things, to distinguish himself from Ekankara. And I had to be initiated. And I understood why. So the question is, what about if someone is MSIA, or who's even doing Seva, like I was for Ekankara? Do they have to be initiated? Yes. The answer is to that is yes. And my story is, when I was in Ekankara, I went very high to the echelon of organization. I met all the people around who were hanging around Harold clan. And there's a lot more to the story, but that's between me and the master. I cannot reveal the rest. That is the total secret. So my master, Mr. Puri, not Harold clan. So you have a similar situation with MSIA. So this is very problematic because this is like people in China, they want to be initiated, and it never happened. And now you have the people in MSIA. Some of them were very close to the master. They've been having dinners. They will buy maybe villa just to see the master by the ocean. So there's a lot of stuff you guys don't know. Not even people in MSIA know. Maybe Garcia knows some of it. But that's another story. I mean, he was with John Rogers for quite a time. So do you have to be initiated? Yes. Even if someone is a minister, they do have to be initiated because this is not the Sutra Yoga. This is not the Santmat. Although some vocabulary could be similar and some sounds, but this is not Sutra Yoga. This is not what Mr. Puri was teaching. Of course, Mr. Puri was always accepting everybody. Every group, as long as they take you within, he will explain, okay, anyone who will take you within, it's a good step. It's at least step, but Mr. Puri will never criticize any group and anything like that. My reason is not to criticize anyone, because the only reason I'm talking about this now is because what's happening right now in reference to some of the people. Do you have to be initiated? Yes, the answer is yes. And if not in this lifetime, then in next lifetime. So the person who was with Mr. Puri, let's say, they met him and they had the darshan and so forth, but they never got initiation from Mr. Puri. Then they have to be reborn again. They're still in a cycle of reincarnation, what you will call. Unless they can find a master, current master, who has the power of Namda. And I'm not recommending anybody, I have a respect, because Mr. Puri had a respect to Gurinder Singh and Rajendra Singh, but I'm not like sending people to any master. I respect some of these masters because what they represent, and I'm not personally sending anybody to anyone to any master. That is the individual decision. I'm just trying to explain something. I'm trying to use this metaphor to explain something to you. Now, what that means, if I had a chance to meet someone like Mr. Puri, I would go across the world, even if I have to paddle in a dinghy on a little boat, had to paddle around the ocean. Whatever, swim with sharks, I don't know. This is how you seek, how we seek, and And this also the karmic condition, all conditions from the point of view that some of us that we had a chance to be around the master or live in the same town. We were living in Chicago for many years, not far from where master was living. For what? We didn't know about Mr. Puri. And we were living like for what, 10, 15 years now? 10 years. I was with Ekankar at the time, by the way. So, and then I just kind of broke off and with that path because my nature is I need to know. I always need to know. No matter what group I am with, I need to know. So when I was in Ekankar, I investigated all that. There's a book by David Lane about Ekankar. Actually, he was there before me. I went to Mary Twitcher, wife of Harold and the brother of Paul Twitcher and so on. I went to see her because she was like in the nursing in an old people house. I bought the flowers. I went, she said, you know, David Lane was just staying next house there, you know, doing all this research on Paul Twitcher. So I spoke personally. In my life, I met people who under normal circumstances, I will never be able to meet. But somehow this was arranged for me. I mean, I met, even when I was with Mr. Puri, I mean, let me put this way. I said, Mr. Puri shared with us a lot. I don't know a live person who knows what that even will mean. So when I'm speaking to you guys, I'm really speaking from my own experience. Not just inner experience, because the real show is all within. That's why the satsang I always speak. Be very careful who you hang around with. Because that is very important, the company you keep. Most people are keeping wrong company. There's also another aspect that anyone who will try to say the truth, they're gonna be punished. So when I discovered the truth about that path, I know the truth about all of them, all of the paths, master path, all of them. I spent 30 years of my life on that. I had the pliks of papers like this, right? Documents, everything about everybody. Everything. So when I went to Ekankar, to the high initiate, actually it was a friend of ours, and I said, look, the answer I got from their people is like, well, every organization has skeletons hanging in the closet, right? That was the explanation. I said, wow, this is a lot of skeletons hanging, you know, all this money stuff and all the rest. Please understand, this is the same case with every organization I was ever involved with. They all have a skeletons hanging in the closet, which nobody knows. But for some course of my life, I have to know all of this. And I said, how can you even live like this for so many years, even being with the master, knowing all this stuff? I said, you know, Pranay, I guess call it a test, huge test. If you think you tested because this or that, you haven't seen the tests yet. Really. So I try to caution everybody else. I mean, be very careful who you listen to and who you put your faith and trust in. If you come across someone like Mr. Puri, well, yeah, you are very lucky. I always say to many friends of ours, like Nick and Lena and Pranay, you guys are very lucky. So is Grace. She says how lucky she is. Yes? You want to say how lucky you are? So I always tell people are looking at me. They know they're lucky, but to really understand, you have to be philosopher's stone. in that sense, to really understand that. Well, let me put it this way: you have to cross Van Vargufa right here, right before Satlaka. You have to really. That's where the meditation, Simran Bhajan, and all this ends. Okay, you have to cross that, stay within the consciousness. And then you realize how lucky everybody was. So so this is very sad situation that you may see the people, they got initiated, and well, why did they deserve? Someone may say, and I didn't. I asked my friend about that. He gave me a very answer, but I don't want to repeat that here because, very good friend of mine, Markusz Mirci, at the time, before he passed away. Not many people like him at that time, because he knew too much. I know everything what he know, and 100 times that. And he could make it, and I still kicking, still working, in that sense. So this is very sad situation, but the master did address that. So me and Grace, we have a very, very not easy situation because of that knowledge, and we have to live with it and knowing who and why not, and this will destroy people's mind, But the initiation by the perfect living master is a must. I learned that. Can I have some more of that?
Cezary Ji,
So did Grace. She learned that. I don't know if this answers your question. This is the personal decision. And maybe one of the satsangs I will really explain how that really works. Because, oh, by the way, let me finish the subject. Many people speak about John Rogers' mystical traveler, consciousness. And they will put Mr. Puri in the same consciousness as a perfect living master. This is not true. You can take it, argue, or call me and I explain to you. If you don't get that, really don't want to know what is the difference. But mystical travel consciousness is not the consciousness of the perfect living master. I can tell you exactly where that comes from and how far it goes. So that is the reason when I say, same with Ekankar, for example, that when I was initiated, I had to be really initiated. Having the real Namdan by the perfect living master. I know there are some people, I can give you names and I can be describing people for the next 10 hours and tell you exactly who is not. And this is not my role at all. Maybe, if I let it all go out, but I don't think I'll be at peace because there'll be so much commotion, so many ripples all over, and people would just blame me for it, like they did in the past, and they always trying to do. Many times when I was with the master. So there's many people who will give you false information. Just about everybody, everyone. I haven't found really group which I could really how should I say, verify. But I also spoke to Mr. Puri about these different aspects, and I will ask him specific questions and he will give me the answers. And that also include the group, this group I was just speaking about. Here, I can share that the first satsang, right? I was asked about this. Grace, in February. Actually, I had a satsang. My first satsang I had in February.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I had this. I actually had a satsang It was in Chicago at the time. It was in February of 2020. And believe it or not, this was the question I had. One of the first questions during that satsang I had about this whole aspect. And please understand, this was the satsang when my master, Mr. Ishwar Puri, was sitting and listening to satsang. One of the, he was right left of me, listening a little to the satsang for over an hour or more, right? But I can share something with you. I won't tell you who else was there because that's not the point. That will be beyond the point. I have to keep the privacy. But the master was sitting next to me, and he said, "Go ahead." And then before he left, he said something else. But that's only for Grace to know, people who were there. So the reason I'm going back to that is because this was the question. One of the questions was about this this whole thing. You, my friend, are right in the middle of it. So what you do from now on, decisions you will make. You know, that's all up to you. I had many requests, you know, like people would say, well, can I get initiation over long distance or something like that? And it just doesn't work like that. I had to go and see the master, Mr. Puri. You know, we were stuck in the snow, and the car broke down with Grace in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, but before Denver. We went through so many other people. Imagine this. So this is just one of the incidents, and we had to go to Denver now. Have to leave a car. I had to rent the other car. Keep driving to Bandara, I think. Yeah, to Bandara because for Grace. So Grace was going for Bandara on the 2nd of April. And this whole obstacles, a whole car just broke down with driving. It was a good car, supposed to be, you know. And we went through just to make it. I had many situations like that, just to see the master, just to make it, just to that, you know, it was just like miracles. But I also hear from other seekers, they had the same thing, you know, people will go through incredible stuff. So what is your seeking, you know? And a few days ago, I said to Grace, you know, Grace, I'm going to be asked to go to Africa. I told her, I literally told Grace, you know what, Grace, I'm going to be asked to go to Africa. Are you going to go with me? And she said, yeah, I go with you. If we're gonna, he said, as long as they're gonna have a safari, you know, so we can go see that. She said, she will go on if I take her to safari.
Yeah, but tell about the movie. We were just.
And then I said, okay, then I get this and that, and then I turn TV on. There's a movie about Nigeria. This is the movie about the political in 60s and 70s and 90s, the political upheaval from 1960
to 1985.
1985 to 1990. Yeah, so it's an interesting country, but incredibly complicated.
Yeah,
you know, the political issues and all that, and it is a rich country in oil and so forth and so on, beautiful. So I said, wow.
The politicians,
the politics. We were watching this movie.
They constantly
Yeah.
change the politicians.
Yeah, some of the,
the problem.
Anyways, huh?
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge you have with our country. The politicians are just doing what they are doing. But to be very, I'm very happy to welcome you to Nigeria. At least to be like a light bearer, a torch bearer is visiting my country, and possibly that will bring the light of God more into Nigeria and possibly change this whole situation for a better for us here.
But did Jesus went to Nigeria, see you guys? I know
Yeah.
he did, right?
Yeah, he did.
So
For Americans, it's easy to travel.
so I suppose for someone from this country, it's easy to go there, and than from someone from there to come to US or anything like that. Well, this all will be resolved. Thing is that many people will take this lightly, the initiations. Even I know some people who got initiated by Mr. Puri, and then they will question that he's even the master. Or they will try to take, don't get me going. Grace said no, so I'm not going to go into this aspect, but so many people will.
Cezary, we have another question from China. Please let me know when I can ask that once you're done. Thanks.
Is this something we can record, or this is like private, no recording, just for the Satsang?
It's a general question. If you permit me, I can.
Okay,
read
go
it
ahead.
out.
Any question? I always open to the questions. If there's anyone who does not agree what I say, they can confront me anytime. All I need to ask one question to whoever is going to confront me. All I can need to ask him one question. Be over. In that sense, we will know what the truth is. It's not like I am know everything in that sense. I'm the master, but when you're in the epicenter of everything with the master, you become aware of incredible things. So from that point of view, person like that, it's not easy to, what will be the word, trick him. Okay, it's not easy to trick someone who anyway. So what is the question? Chinese Sangat, yes, very dear people to me. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So the claims in China, this monk who we spoke last time, who's doing initiation, and if I remember correctly, he has a group maybe of 200 or so. There's this another person, I wouldn't give a name for privacy, who claims he's the master, and he has 400 people or something like that. Should I tell them answer to that? So what is the question in the reference to?
This comes from Alan from China. I wouldn't know if this is his real name. He asks about meditation. The question goes like this: Master said that the highest service is to do meditation for the master, but the master is gone. Is it necessary to do meditation for the master? That's a question.
Persons initiate.
Very good question. So let me finish the last one. Are we done with the last question about traveling and all that? And anyone who wants to have more questions, they can send to Pranay. Usually I ask many times Pranay to answer some of these questions, but he will ask me about some of this question I ask because of a very peculiar situation I am in, and including legality of this, and I don't want to be in a place that I may say something and someone may not like that. Like with this MSIA, everything I said, it is true experience and things I know from the master. And people I met, I actually met them. You can ask them and verify. You can call Jesus Garcia and ask him about all this. So I have to be very careful, make sure that everything I say can be verified by somebody else, nobody's gonna, oh, Cezary said this, or Cezary said that, or Cezary making stuff, or anything like that. You know? This is not the purpose of Ishvapuri Sambandh. The point is that, now bear with me. The point is this, that the meditation, okay, generally the masters, they will explain that for different forms of seva. This is there's a big explanation to do seva, you know, physical seva, mani seva. So generally the meditation, Mr. Puri spoke about that, is masters will consider that the highest seva, meditation. And this has to do with the process of on this path. Bear with me. Let me explain something here. Radhaswami faith, the Sucha Yoga, the Ananda Yoga. You can look at this at you can have two views of it. So let's say Radhaswami path express as duality on one side, and on the other side. So let's say on one side there's a duality. All this Chabi Yoga, all this what you're doing is everyone is doing as an expression of duality. And on the other side, the side will be an explanation of non-duality. Actually, I wrote something like this. I knew this was almost like Radhaswami, duality versus non-duality. What is the answer to that? What is the true? So if you look at this from the higher point of view, the true is, I wrote it here actually, maybe a few hours before the satsang. The true is beyond light and beyond the sound. In other words, the true is beyond both. So in duality part, you have a master and you have a disciple. And this is duality of the path. You have a meditation, you have a simaran, there's a separation. In other words, there's a separation from the ocean, so to speak. The drop is separated from the ocean, okay? I'm trying how to explain this easiest way. So there's the drop is separated from the ocean. This is the Radhaswami path explained as a duality. So there's a master and there's a disciple. There's a guru and there's a chila, and there's a path. So the drop gets separated from the source or from the ocean, so to speak, and separated, and we call this soul. And then there was the soul experience drop all the way down to the third, to Pinto body, has all this experience. And then there's this whole journey going back. Please understand, this is all duality. And within that duality, you have a seva. And different types of this seva is many times physical seva. Someone will give 10% of their money to organization and stuff like that, or meditation. So within that whole aspect, meditation will be the highest seva because it deals exactly with, it will help you mostly in that sense as a person, as a drop, okay? So, but this is still duality. The whole path is duality. The world we live in here is the world of polarities. Everything is a polarity, or what you call a duality. Please also understand that the next world, like what you will call astral world or experience through the astral form, is also polarity. Many people, they say, well, I'm going to die here, then I'm going to wake up in astral form, and everything is just going to be this and that. Or I'm going through this process or that process, going to heaven, going to hell. If you think you're deceived in this world, don't think that just because you cross into astral, everything is handy, handy. This is also the word of polarity. So that is one of the reasons to be with the true master is very important. I can come back to this later. So the meditation, a process of meditation, is the process of that separation. The drop separated from the ocean. So this is your journey, okay? So this part, as Radhaswami teachings or faith is represented that. Now, on the other side, you have a non-duality path. And in non-duality path, this is explained as the self. And Mr. Puri, in Anatomy of Consciousness, he explained this on the self. And he will say this on the self. In that video he had with Messiah, actually, this he actually says, because there's something that I don't remember exactly, about this and that, and he said, no, this on the self. So when Mr. Puri was saying that through that interview, he's pointing everybody sitting there, or the interviewer, and all the people sitting in the back of it, listening to that, so to speak. He's telling them the non-duality part that there's on the self. And the self cannot be divided. Please understand, there's on the self. There is no smaller part of the self or separate soul from the self. No, that's not possible. There's on the self, and everything is within the self. So this is not duality part. The problem is that people start having all these questions, especially with Master Leaves, is that they live in the duality part. In other words, they still holding on to Seva. Now I'm going to get really, they're going to really get after me after what I'm just about to say. It's not going to get you anywhere. In that sense, the Seva is designed for the mind. So anyone who says, I do not know how to meditate, they're speaking from the region which is above this process. And that region is, no, I'm not making a claim that I know what, I'm just trying to give you an example. What do I know? So, but anyway, that region is Vanvargufa. So once you cross Vanvargufa, now these are states of consciousness, okay? And your mantra or your words are just vortexes. These are like vibrations or vortexes which activate the specific states within the consciousness, call it chakras or whatever, okay? I'm trying to explain something here. So this is what the Simran is. And in Sutra Yoga, Simran is the part of meditation. So is the bhajan and all the rest. But please understand that once you cross the Vanvargufa, you have to leave all of this behind. None of that you can take with you. And if you don't believe me, just listen to Fakir Chand. He actually explained that. He says, I'll be meditating, this and that. And once I crossed Vanvargufa, I lost total interest in meditation. These are his words, I'm paraphrasing. This is, but I was able, but I can't conform to that. And he was considered to be a perfectly good master, even by my master. And I was able, I can verify that for you in my neck. I can verify that. So the meditation and all this, and the seva is part of the mind. Well, how?
And this for the mind.
It is specifically for the mind. It is not for the soul. It has nothing to do with the soul or who you really are. And you are not even individual soul. You are the self. So now we're switching over back to the non-duality part of Sant-Mat Sutra Yoga, Radhaswami Yoga, and all this. So now we're switching to the non-duality part. And in non-duality part, none of that matters in that sense. And this is very hard to understand, because if you listen to people speaking about all this daily satsang and all this rest, I don't care what, they all say meditate, simran, meditate, simran, meditate, simran, and this is not going to get you anywhere. I mean, literally, it's not going to get you anywhere. It is specifically for the mind. It is all 100% within the mind. And this is what everybody is concerned about. So what is the problem? The problem is this, that when you come across the master who starts saying the non-duality part, because he's so conditioned to for decades and books reading the duality part. But please also understand that the duality part originated from non-duality. Go to Kabir and Guru Nanak. So the problem is for everybody usually is they trying to fit non-duality in within duality. In other words, they take the Sutra Yoga as non-duality explanation, like Mr. Puri was saying, there is only self. And they try to fit this somehow in duality part. And they can, and it's not possible. You can try to the end of your life. You can meditate 24/7. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. And that's why Mr. Puri, but Mr. Puri explained that, but nobody is getting it. So he will say, this on the self. He will even say, I spoke about this in satsangs, that the first stage of illusion is the illusion of individual soul. And that is true. I can verify that that is true. But this is not my idea. This is my master is saying that. And he refers you to Kabir, Sahib, and all the writings and so forth. There's a lot of that in Sarbachan. And that's written basically put together by Ravi Sarigan. But so please understand, as long as you're trying to fit non-duality in duality, the mind will crash. What is the true? The true is beyond duality and non-duality. The true is beyond light, and the true is beyond the sun. The true is way beyond 18 chakra. I mean, I'm talking about 18 chakras Great Master was speaking about. And in Radhaswami faith, they have, Radhaswami, so they have Alakangam and Anami, additional, or from that point to two more regions above. I spoke to Master about this. I spoke about this, because I said 18 chakras. Okay, well, I spoke about the rest. And he explained to me. He explained to me exactly. So my point is, when anyone speaks about Mr. Puri, as this is a consciousness, I won't even know how to even talk about it. I mean, that's why I say always, very few really know who they were dealing with. Very few people. I will even make this statement from my point of view. Grace is the only one person who knows who we're dealing with. And I know I'm going to get, Cezary, he's out of his, what he's really talking about now, out of his mind. No, I'm not talking about out of his mind, because she knows, well, she knows. And I spoke to Mr. Puri, and he will give me an answer. He always will give me an answer, no matter what. If for somehow I have enough, when you're with the master, you're like, can I even talk about this? I don't want to jeopardize my spiritual life. Yeah, it's like a razor's edge. Master may say, what are you trying to say or prove? I always had enough guts, thanks to him, to ask these questions. But if it wasn't for his grace, I would never dare ask these questions. I mean, I would never dare ask this on the open sun God, like questions and answer master was getting. That was like, okay, nice questions, nice answers, but there are questions and there are questions. There are questions within the mind. If you don't get that answer, ever, there's always going to be one piece missing of the jig puzzle. And when the time of death will come over, the death as portrayed with in the Black Robe, like Ingmar Bergman movies, actually, and the soldier is asking death, Demedu, who are you? And he says, I'm death. Anyway, my point is this: if there's this little piece missing in your mind, there's always going to be a doubt. I don't care how you convince yourself, or you can memorize all Vedas and all the scriptures and all the religions all in one, meet all the prophets on us, and all that. So this is very, very interesting. I noticed that with many people that they are still missing that last piece of the puzzle. Now the thing is, for better or worse, this can only be answered by the master before he dies. So if you're with the master and you have the opportunity to be with him, but you never ask him, he's not gonna tell you. The masters are not seeking disciples. Perfect living master is not trying to convince anybody of anything. You have to go to the master and ask him. It's not about number of disciples. One guru can have 1 million disciples. The other guru, there's some gurus who initiated maybe a few people. I have to give a satsang about that, but some very good in search of masters who actually just initiated a few people through the whole lifetime. And the deal is, if you read Anurag Sagar, the master have to go by this deal of so-called, let's call it Kal Niranjan. Most people don't even know what Kal Niranjan is. There's a time or space, or maybe time creating space, or space creating time, and all this. To be in front of the Kal Niranjan. Okay, let me ask anybody, do you know how the Kal Niranjan looks, really? Is there anyone in the Satsang who knows the how this manifestation of Kal Niranjan may even look? Please let me know. I never met a person who really knew, but they all claim, they know everything. I'm the master, but they cannot even read Akashic records. Okay, let's say someone comes over to you and say, oh, I'm the master. Okay, what is written in Akashic record about this and that? Tell me now. Yeah, well, I don't know. What do you mean? You claim you're the master from such kind? You give me such kind of initiation, and I'm done, and you can't even read the Akashic records? Now, there's another version of this. Who can read your Akashic records? Can someone outside read those or not? And there's also the question of who is the master. There's a lot of confusion about that, and there's even confusion. Someone will say, oh, my master said this, or my master. And someone else will say, we mean my master, our master. There's no my master. They will get offense that someone say, well, my master. So which one, which is correct? My master or our master? The correct one is my master. So when you speak, you will say my master. And if someone has a problem with that, that means they have zero understanding how this works with him. They have no idea what the high self even is, or the self. Not even in the mind. They just don't know how this, they think that someone can come over from outside. This is not possible. The self will never allow that. And the self is you. My master, okay? Not your master, my master. So I'm trying to explain something to you right now, because a lot of people get offensive about these pronunciations of who is the master, who is no, is it our master, or is it my master? Or they will say all masters come from the same source, so they're all the same. And they love us like everybody else, we all equal. No. Do they love everyone? Yes. Unconditionally, yes. Are we all equal? No. This is the biggest lie someone even can tell you in that sense. Now, when Master speaks about these concepts, he's speaking from different state of consciousness. From the source, you can say that. But this is the self. This is non-duality part, and this is real you. And from that self, there's nothing outside of you. There's nobody can come from outside and even access these regions within. So when I say the satsang, very few people understand what the concept of perfect living master is. I'm speaking actually from that region. Forget, so that's a region now. I know nothing, but I'm speaking from that point of non-duality and beyond non-duality, when there is no duality, non-duality, when there's no name and form, there's no light and there's no sun. And this whole thing is within the different, something totally different. It's just like most people, they only speak about love. And this is how these masters present this unconditional love and this and that. I'm just told not to even go into the subject, Master just told me. So it's easy to make the claims, you know. And those who know 1% on the spot, they will claim they know 99%. And those who know 99% will always claim, I just know 1%. This is how it is. So you have all these different groups and all these different people, and they think that they know everything. No, you don't. It's all mine. So going back to the subject of meditation, Sangurinder Sen, who is the current master in Bias, the Rabias, 2014, I can trace, some time ago, but anyway, he started changing the teachings of Sutra Yoga, or the teachings out of Bias, RSSB. So he will say, the duality part is that there's a master and there's a disciple, and when the disciple dies, master will be the disciple, right? So this is the duality part. Then the other duality part is all the meditations, Simran, Dhyan, Bhajan, and all the rest. Okay, practice, practice, practice. This is also for the mind, 100%. The other duality part is, okay, well, the master can take away your karma. And it says, well, some of these gurus or masters can even take 90% of your karma, so you're only left with 10. That is the duality part. Now you have a Gurinder Sen changing all that. And he, I mean, this is on the record. I mean, you can verify that. These are new teachings of the current master, yes, more or less. Master is not going to meet you when you die. Okay, well, what about all these other masters, all these 100 years of all this teaching? We just dismantle all of that? Then the Korean master Vyasa will say, okay, no one can take your karma. You're responsible 100% for your karma. Wait a minute, I thought when I'm initiated, master takes all this karma away from me. He says no. And then, I mean, these are not my teaching, these are teaching of Korean master and Vyasa. And this goes on and on. And there's only self. And because there's only self, none of this is even possible. Not even soul is possible, individual soul, because if it's a drop or particle of the ocean, it has to have the same qualities as ocean, okay? So if ocean is a little salty, it also has to be a little salty. And so it has to be 100% copy or replication of the ocean. That's not possible. That is the ocean. So now we switch into the teachings of non-duality. So Gurinder Sen is, believe it or not, I agree with him on many aspects. This may cause some these masters lose the disciples, but and the very interesting part is he's telling that to his Sangha, and the people are still, I mean, like straight into face. Master's not going to teach you, he's not going to meet you when you die. And they say, okay, yes, please, but please meet me when I die, please meet me, right? I mean, he's telling them, no, I will not meet you. Guru is telling him, no, I will not meet you when you die. And he was explaining why, let's say. No, okay, thank you very much, but please still meet me when I'm going to die. So this is the groove. This is the groove. And this is how this all operates. And if I really start explaining to you how this really operates, my jaw is dropped when I find out in that sense. I mean, really. So if someone is delusional and he thinks the ego will explain, oh, I know everything, or please send me an email. I have a connection with Mr. Puri, and I will exactly answer you, back. They really have to be the master, or because the only consciousness from the self can do that. No one outside can tap into it. Try to explain something. If you are delusional that someone can sit next to you and actually explain you all this, or maybe even charge you money for it, that is a pure delusion. The self, the source will not allow that. If you think someone can intervene in that, it's not even possible. The source, their self, call it high self, will not allow that. This is not possible. That's why I say, oh, okay, this is individual path. But everywhere you turn around, everybody say, no, we all one and the same. No, that is the biggest lie. That is a big lie. And the masters try to explain that, but the people won't listen, so they just give you a story in that sense. That we are all some kind of the hive mind, like a bees. No, this is not how it works. I can give you endless examples. The issue of near-death experiences will be one of these examples. How this is all set up, and the question is a trap. Yes, it is a trap. It's like when you go to the tunnel, you have near-death experiences, and you see the light to the tunnel and all this. You can see these beings, waving on you. Please come in here and all this. That's what it is. I can tell you exactly what to do, not to do. in that sense, if someone is interested privately. So be very careful when someone is just waving to you, please comment on me, you know. Oh, I will liberate you. Please understand that this game is going all the way within. What you see outside here in this world, all this stupidity, all this crime, all this total delusion, is there anyone normal left around? You know, there's so much going on. Please understand that this has to do with what's going within. This is just a reflection of how do I explain that to you? This Earth, call it Earth, and most of you think it is a ball flying through space. So this Earth or planet is a very specific place, and the reincarnational cycle is very interesting in here. This third density, and this is not us, maybe someplace else. The most of the concept you have right now, it's the embed in your DNA, including your concept about God and all that. So this is simply genetic manipulation. Oh my God, I don't think I'm going into that. They probably told me don't even talk about this because people are gonna really freak out. So let me explain this a different way. It's not just it's not the case of being hypnotized. It is the case that we all hypnotize in that sense, and it's a case of dehypnotizing yourself. So once you start operating from this different states of awareness, this is the process of dehypnotizing. And when you look, let's call it, when you look back, and everybody else, they all walk in a hypnotic state, literally everybody. So this hypnotic suggestions are some, they will call samskaras or samskaras, you know, the way the mind operates. So when you're on this path, don't be delusional that everybody just all of a sudden is going to hypnotize themselves and wake up. This is individual process. It's like in the Matrix, you know, Neo goes to Morpheus and Morpheus says, "Oh, I can offer you the blue pill or the red pill." If you take the blue pill, you go back to Matrix and you forget about all this. But if you take the red pill, I will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. So if you talk about Gurbani, Gan Sahib of the scriptures, you know, they speak out of 1,000, only one is called to the path. But out of 1,000, those who are on the path, only one will succeed. So I'm trying to make a reference. 1 out of 1,000 will take the red pill, and the 999 will take the blue pill. And those who even take the red pill afterward, they say, "Well, I had enough. I want to go back to the forget the red pill. Give me the blue one again. I want to forget about this. It just make me some." Ironically, the Matrix movies that make me an actor, and that's what most people are. They're actors. They're literally actors, and they act, and they will even act next to the master, thinking the master doesn't know. Doesn't even take a split second. So going back to the Kalnaranjan, I cannot talk about this. I'm sorry. I don't know what to, okay, let me put it this way. Imagine to be in front of someone who has mind power 1,000,000 times what you have. imagine you call it being, manifested being, not just a time and space, who knows what that even is and where does it go, how long it takes. Einstein was, he didn't know what he was talking about, they would say now. And from one perspective, so imagine someone whose mind power is 1,000,000 times what is yours. And imagine he can shut you down in 1/1,000,000 of the second if he wants to. And we're talking about the universal mind. We're talking about Trikuti. So imagine what kind of ratio we're dealing here. You will be at the mercy of that being beyond the comprehension. But somehow, in your individual mind, you think you're more powerful than him. You think that individual mind is more powerful than universal mind. And this is delusion everybody is proven. They will get in the individual mind that they are the master. And they will project that to the other individual minds. And people are, taking this like a mint candies. They just taking this, oh yeah, tell me more, I'm with you, yeah. You tell me to go on the roof and jump over it, should I do it? What the smart ones will say, no, you do it first, you jump. Let's see what's gonna happen if you can beat the law of gravity. So, but that's where we all are. So when you dehypnotize yourself, when you dehypnotize yourself, thanks to the master, let's put it, but he just instead of someone waving like this, ting, 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 look at him to look at me. When he hypnotize yourself, then you start seeing that. And this is not the mass awakening process. Never was and never will be. This place you are right now, it's not designed that way. I can explain you what is really designed for. And this has to do with a lot of different things. So let's say a person like that who he's looking around, how can you reach people? So this is you have to take them out of the subconscious state of they hypnotize really, and this can be done in all this. Anyway, I'm done. So please understand that those who will lie to you, it's many. Those who will tell you the truth, they are very rare. And if you ever come across one in your whole lifetime, you are a very lucky person. If you come across a real perfect living master like Mr. Puri was, you won the biggest lottery in the whole universe. I can verify that, You want the biggest lottery. You can go tomorrow win billion dollars or 100 billion rupees or something. That's nothing. That's nothing. And we're complaining, I have to go there, I have to do this, I have to, I had to drive to see Mr. Puri, poor me, Please understand that the whole idea of victimhood, which exists, even people who are initiated by the master, this whole idea is it's it is in your DNA. So this is the sequential track. And now we're going back to the genetics and millions of human years back. And Mr. Puri will explain that the mind that the mind, the life, in the human years of mind, maybe 3 million years or so, right? 3,000 solar form, and please understand that this process could be billions of years. Could be billions of years or 20,000 years. I'm trying to give you a perspective. Depends how you go around. About billions of years will means that even mind has to be replaced. How many times, and you make a calculation, how many times, a few billion years, mind itself will have to be replaced. That's why they call this dissolution and process or dissolution. And very few even understand what that is, that this is actually an individual process. But this is just explanation. So I will stop at this. Okay, going back to meditation, yes. So meditation. So the answer is given, do your meditation with love and devotion. And if you are lucky to have a darshan of the real master, in this case, I mean, realistically, I'm speaking of Mr. Puri. I don't know how many people, if there are any who actually were initiated by the great master or met the great master. I used to was aware about this, and that person must have tell me this, but I don't know today. So from that perspective, it's Mr. Puri. So if you had a darshan, his darshan, you have to meditate on that, and that will help you. Please understand that this whole process within duality, that is the process of the clone. When Master initiates you, he places his clone inside of you. Mr. Puri speaks about that. It's not like my idea, I just came up with this. So he will explain this as a placing of the clone. And this is one of the reasons. Ask me some other times, have a whole satsang about just this aspect. This is one of the reasons when we say my master. Not our master. I mean, we can speak about our master, but please understand the content of that, what that really means. This concept of the placing clone within the consciousness, this is what you meditate on. I'll call it the radiant form. This is why I say these things to you. This is your access, individual access to the call it process, but this is your access. Your neighbor across the street, he doesn't have access to that. In that sense, the high self, or highest self, or paratma, paratma, or the self beyond duality, or so forth, beyond name and form. That's a different ball game, I guess you can call it. So don't get delusional that someone can come over to you and I'm going to help you. I spend I'm the master. I had the lunch with the master. He wrote something on the napkin for me, on the little under the glass. He said this and that, and I was walking to the car, and he looked at my eyes, told me, I mean, these are the tests by the master. These are not the results. I can tell you, the master will tell to me, Grace, well, let's put that person to test. They say this and that, we're going to put him to test. So don't get all illusional. No, we are not the same. At the self, we are all the same. At the possibilities of the philosopher's stone, you can say, but this even go beyond the philosopher's stone. If you think philosopher's stone is the end, it's not. So beyond that, but from the possibility of our experience of the soul's experience going through the center of Van Vargufa and all this, the Surah, the attention, we should be really using surat, not exactly the soul. This is totally different. If we were all the same, because there will be no experience. The experience is different. Like the distance or time, if within third dimension or the other dimensions, different versions of it, the vectors, it's a difference. Okay, look at this linear fashion. It's a difference between 2 points. If there is no difference, everything will be at the same point. There will be no experience. So the name and form has experience to these different centers, to these different chakras, to these different bodies, is the difference. The one chakra, the astral chakra, has a different experience than the Trikuti. They're located in the same head of yours, here and here, going inside. So that is, but they are not. They do not place in the same area within the real temple, within your Dara. They're not placed in the same point. It's not like this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is no. They're all over the reservation, the being head in that sense. So don't get delusional here. But from the other point of view, yes. If you look the head, it's all inside your head. And if I explain to you what that really means, you probably believe half of you will come back to the satsang, next satsang, if I really explain to you how this really works. It's not like what you think. Tell us, no, this is the self-discovery. We all have a responsibility to discover. Even in the letters of the great master, I read this even, that we all have a responsibility to do our duty. It's not just the master, perfect living master. He comes with the perfect living master. Make a choice as he goes. If you're still thinking that he's coming back with the piece of paper and all the names, you have a long way to go to understand how this really works. You are marked by the master. As the process goes. And I see this in myself when being with Mr. Polik, he will be doing it. Okay. And this is actually good because anybody has a chance, It's not like, oh, I wasn't chosen by the master, I wasn't on his list or something like that. No. Everybody, okay, this is the point. If you're talking about we all equal in that aspect or the same, love of the master, this will be the example. You could be the guy who is shenanigans all your life, right? Or girl, or could be the saint, walking saint like Mother Teresa. A master will just mark you, regardless of that, because he can see the whole picture. So he will just, you are on my list. A year later, after hundreds of others, he will say, you are on my list. Or you can be next to the master or living in his basement and you are not on my list yet. But you had a darshan and you will be next life, let's say. So this is the story of the son coming to the father who left the father, right? And Father will forgive him all his transgressions. Transgressions, most of us don't even know. I mean, you're not aware. I mean, if anybody of you tell me you're aware all of your lives, I'm gonna be like, oh, maybe someone can drink the whole ocean. I believe that for a second, but not that. No, I don't think so. It's like, Cezary, I can move the mountain, move from Colorado to Florida. That's how much power I have, Well, anybody who claims these claims that they will actually have more power behind it than that. They have to stand up to that being we call Karnaranjan and don't get thrown. Okay, this you try to manifest as Karnaranjan, it takes 1 million of the second and you'll be frozen. Your whole mind, you'll be like a rock. That's what you're doing, but this is just Chakoti, and everybody say, "Oh, I'm the master from all this highest region." Oh my! I mean, really, like this, really, honestly. Let me think. Yeah, I can climb Mount Everest, tomorrow. In one day, yeah, I can do that too. Oh, satsang is over. I mean, thank you, Radhaswami. So,
No more questions.
no more questions. Unless someone has a question, I gotta stop here. Questions and questions. So, if you were initiated by the master, I assume someone was initiated by the master and he was meditating, and he or she was able to establish the radiant form of the master. Well, let me put it this way: the real master initiates you. He prays himself. Okay, so it's not a matter of. It's more of the process of discovering that, being aware of it. So then you can continue. Mr. Puri explained that this process will continue even when the physical body of the master is not here. Please understand that these things, when you have a physical form, when you die, there's nothing left. All that experience is gone. What is left is just a memory. I need a 10 minutes break. Thank you very much. I come back in 10 minutes. Anybody who stays, we can have more questions. Thank you.